Hello there, thanks very much for joining us. This is Ilkeston Web Design, and we help small businesses in the local area. You can subscribe to our channel if you look on the video at the top right corner. Click that button and you can subscribe, and you can also sign up to the email opt-in form at the end of the video, so we'll tell you how to do that. My name's Darren and I'm joined by Lee. He's our graphic resident designer. He's got about 10 years experience in the industry, and we're going to be talking about graphic logo concepts. So coming up with ideas for the logo, ideas, concepts, brainstorming, etc. All right, Lee?
Yeah, very well, Darren. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, so we're going to talk about graphic design, what graphic design actually is. Not many people can really define it properly, so I'm just wondering, can you summarise graphic design?
Well, I'll try my best. Being a graphic designer myself, I could probably safely say graphic design is many things. It's all around us. Maps, road signs, those wayfinding devices that help us get around.
Yeah.
The packaging, instruction manuals on how to use things, business cards, logos. There's quite a lot to graphic design. But I guess whatever you do, it's got to be purposeful and functional, and it's got to be logical as well,
Yeah.
or emotional.
Yes, it's
You've
emotional
got to make a
sometimes.
connection.
Yeah,
You have to
yeah.
make a connection in design.
Yeah.
Um,
It's usually
it's,
commercial as well,
yeah, definitely.
sometimes. Yeah.
Commercial is the key, I guess, as well, because
Yeah.
especially for businesses,
Yeah.
small and medium-sized businesses, as you're well aware. And you've got government-related public service announcements, and all sorts of things.
Yeah. Well, it's basically it's visual communication. I mean, that's the way it was put to me when I was a student. My lecturer was saying graphic design is just visual communication. You're communicating with pictures.
Yeah, totally agree with that, Darren. Yeah, I mean, it can be called that graphic designer would deliver good visual communication. I guess if we weren't a graphic designer, we would be visual communicators.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I think the best design, it like, excuse me, it tells you what you need to know within seconds, and it's always something very like specific. So bearing that in mind, how do you come up with an idea for a logo that really communicates clearly and specifically?
I mean, for me personally, I like to sketch ideas out first.
Yeah,
There's nothing better in my mind than the traditional pen and paper. Get those ideas down that are floating around in your head, and just coming up with some either. Well, it's got to be original ideas,
yeah, yeah,
unless the client has some input and you've got a specific message to get across. But generally, it's always great to get that sketch pad out, get some ideas down on paper
yeah.
before taking to the computer.
Yeah, because sometimes people like this is particularly it's typical of students. They just jump straight into Photoshop and they start trying to lay things out, and it kind of doesn't always come out very well. Some of the logos don't communicate at all. People concentrate on trying to look impressive, and that's not always the best way to approach a logo concept.
Absolutely, yeah.
Some logos are really bad. I mean, we've talked about this before, and we're actually going to take a look at some pretty bad logos now, and I'm going to share my screen with you, Lee, because I've got a link that we're going to have a look at. So I'm
Cool.
just going to share my screen with you. Let me just... Okay, so I'm just loading up this link, and this is logo design gone wrong, 10 offbeat examples. Now this,
Wow.
I mean, the first one, I mean, that's Arlington Pediatric Centre.
I can't take my eyes off the pictogram to the left.
Oh God! I mean, what annoys me is that people are spending money clearly on their shop front. They've probably got that logo on the business card, on the letterhead, maybe on the invoice, and someone's finally said, "Do you realise what that looks like?" I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, if they can afford to spend money getting that on the shop front, I mean, could they not just have spent the money, in the first place, not making a mistake like that? Because it's embarrassing.
Well, I think that's overlooked. I mean, the bigger picture is you need to have a strong logo. You need to have a
Yeah,
strong identity. And I think, especially for small and medium-sized businesses, I think that gets missed.
yeah,
And I guess as we look at these other examples you're um, cycling through at the moment,
yeah.
there are some shocking examples.
This pharmacy one, I mean, that's pretty bad. I mean, goodness me. And the kids exchange one. I mean, something's gone wrong with the font, and I mean, all that would have taken is just a few spaces between what a space between kids and exchange, but obviously they haven't done that. So, and Mega Flicks. Yes, that does say Flicks, Flicks, but it doesn't quite read that way because of the font that they've chosen. So again, it's just oversight. I mean, that's not really a logo, that's typeface, but, it comes under graphic design.
It does, and that's a good example to show actually of how important a good typeface is as well. You could have the best brand name in the world, but if it's written in the wrong font, then you can get all sorts of unsatisfying results like that one.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not actually sure what this is supposed to be advertising. I mean, I just
Well, my
laugh.
eyes have gone straight for that colourful blob in the middle.
Well,
It's
I mean,
pretty disturbing.
I don't even know what it's trying to advertise. I mean, I just, oh, I'm sorry, I can't help it. Oh dear me. But I mean, the reason we're not just we're trying to say to the clients that may be watching. I mean, we don't want this to happen. I mean, we're very much aware. We're very sensitive to that this can happen. And like when you and I discuss logos, Lee, I mean, like we spend hours like with a bit of back and forth telling each other, why a logo doesn't work, and and we spend several hours going through all these different concepts before we arrive at a good one, and we don't want anything like this to happen.
Absolutely. I think the key is communication, isn't it? Not just between you and the client, but also, I mean, the rapport we have in that, we brainstorm these ideas, put them across to the client. You do need that interaction because, you know, the consequences are, you know,
It's just
they've been
money.
thinking about.
It's money wasted. I mean, that doctor there, the computer doctors. I mean, how much money have they spent? I mean, putting that sign up. I don't know how much that would have cost, but the point is, it's like a one-way street. Once you've got a logo like that, and you put it on the side of your van above your shop, and then someone says, "Do you realise what that looks like?" I mean, it's like when it finally hits you, and it must be absolutely. I don't know how the.
Well, once it hits you, it's stuck in the head then, isn't it?
But whose
It's
fault
in
is
the
it? I mean,
mind.
is that the designer's fault or is it the client's fault? Because I mean, someone has obviously let that go ahead.
It's a difficult one because, I mean, for the client, they've got to take the responsibility in selecting the logo.
Yeah,
From a designer's point of view, you can only be guided by the client. And if the client was happy with that logo, then, you know, what can you do?
yeah.
I'd love to see what the other options were and the early sketches in that one,
Yeah. Well,
and whether the designer deliberately did that as a bit of a bet,
yeah.
as a
April
laugh.
April the 1st, they got that job.
Absolutely.
Why do you think there is so much bad logo design?
Good question. I think from the outset, I think clients need to be more clear when they talk to their designer exactly what they
Yeah,
want. The messages they want to get across.
yeah,
I mean, it's not a designer's job to tell these small or medium-sized business owners the direction to go, but they can certainly help in the way that those values get delivered.
yeah.
So maybe there is a lack of communication, but I'd say that communication's a key here, and I guess the better the design brief, I think the better results they'll get.
Yeah.
In terms of logos out there at the moment that aren't very good, I guess that's only good for us guys because you do get these rebranding exercises,
Yeah.
and it's alarming to see how different um, a really bad logo is from one that's been redesigned. The best logos and the rebranding ones are the small subtle changes,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
But
and
yeah.
that's the strength of a really good logo design.
I just want to say also, you get smaller business that are ripping off the corporate logos, like stuff that you see on TV or on billboards or whatever. I think subconsciously people are ripping, they're they don't realise they're doing it. They're just copying something and then they're sticking their business name on top of an idea that's already out there, and it's not really relevant. Do you know what I mean? So, I'm wondering, do you think that businesses are underestimating the concept stage of the logo design?
I think so, yeah. I mean, it's easy to look at something that's successful out there and say, I want something like that. But,
Yeah,
especially for these big businesses that have the big budgets,
yeah,
some of these logos, they are stuffed in our faces. And
yeah,
perhaps, there isn't a lot of meaning in these bigger brands. But I think for a small or medium-sized business, it goes back to the message that they want to get across.
mm,
And, it might be that the small or medium-sized businesses want to use maybe an abstract shape in
yeah,
their logo, maybe have a bit of meaningless pattern.
mm,
But what's that say about their product and service?
yeah, nothing.
When it boils down to it, they need to, if they're serious about business, they need to deliver that
Yeah,
across the board.
yeah. We've got a famous example of how a small business should not design a logo, don't we? Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. Well, Orange have a meaningless logo.
So, who are they? Just for people who don't know who Orange are.
Yeah, Orange, the telecommunications provider. I
Yeah,
think they're French, actually.
90,
French company set in the
mid
set up mid
nineties, I think.
'90s, something like that. Yeah,
94,
um,
I think.
yeah, and that's a pretty good example of a bad logo for a small business
Yeah,
because
yeah,
often small businesses, again, they try and rip off like these well-known logos. They see these well-known logos out there that we've been exposed to,
yeah.
and they just want to jump on that and say, we want something similar, and it could bear little or no resemblance to what that small or medium-sized business wants to do. The idea just doesn't work.
Because orange, it's really just an orange square with the word orange inside it in like a white, what is it? Is it serif, a sans serif type?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
if you remove the text, you're just left with a square. And if you're watching this video, you can see now on the screen, it's just an orange square, nothing to it really. So I'm thinking, why is that logo worked for Orange? I mean, why would that be bad for a small business? But why does it work for a corporation like Orange?
Well, I guess for Orange, the only thing I can think of was that the idea worked because they are a big corporation. They've got a big advertising budget, and what they've done, they've just took this idea of a orange square and they've run with it. They've kind of forced it upon us to understand and
Yeah,
accept their logo
force fed it to
identity.
us for years, been
Absolutely,
forcing
and
it to us. Yeah, yeah,
you know, repeatedly exposing us to it. And these corporations, they tell us who they are.
yeah.
Um,
But not through the logo. It's
Not through the
on it.
logo,
It's a
no.
voiceover on the advert telling us to
Absolutely.
buy mobile phones. So, yeah,
But they can afford to do that. They can afford to broadcast and advertise these poor logos, if you
yeah,
like. It's almost an afterthought. All the thought's
yeah,
gone into the product and service.
yeah,
And I guess for a small or medium-sized business, they've got these great products and services, and it's their job to, communicate that
yeah.
and get the right designer in, I guess, to
Yeah, because I mean, as a small business, like someone in the local area, they don't have the luxury of millions of pounds, and they don't have the luxury of being on TV. saying buy our stuff, like Orange do. So
Absolutely.
you've got to make every penny and pound count. But when you pay a logo designer, for example, you want them to give you as much for your money as possible. You want that logo to sell who you are for you. Cut through all the noise. There's a lot of crap logos out there, and everyone's trying to sell stuff, and it's just a sea of noise, and it's all rubbish, and everyone's talking, but no one's saying anything, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get a lot of small businesses who rip off like a famous logo, and we're looking at Samsung here. So this is a well-known logo, and let's say like a builder or a plumber or a joiner, they just know that they need a logo, and they just come up with something abstract and generic, something that loosely imitates what they've been seeing for years. They're probably doing it subconsciously. They don't realize that they're sort of copying, a well-known logo. So you've got Samsung, take out the letters, and you've got this rough shape, this geometric shape, and then they'll put something like Mike Smith Builder inside it, and then they'll put clip art on there, and that's pretty much what you see in the local advertising directories. I bet you've seen stuff like that before, haven't you?
Yeah, I've seen this on countless occasions, and
it annoys you, doesn't it? You don't like it.
it does, because it comes to a point as well where, if you do a bit of research, which we do, if I'm doing a logo for say a local builder,
Yeah.
I'll look at what other builders are doing, not to kind of copy and go with the flow, but I want to make sure that this Mark Smith is standing out, is not going to go for the blue and the hard hats and the pile of bricks. It is going to do something a bit different, stand out from the crowd, and we'll give him a logo unique to him.
Yeah.
And just come up with something different with that meaning, with that punch, for him to build his business.
I saw a logo the other day, Friday night. I was walking down Station Road, and I saw this van parked up. And every time I walk past any company vehicle, I just have a good look at it just to see what they're doing, whether or not they've got the website address on the side of the van. Just simple things that they should be doing. And I saw this logo, and I just couldn't believe it. And I wish I took a photo, but I didn't have my phone with me, and I did actually consider going back and taking a photo. But anyway, I threw together something on Photoshop just to illustrate what I witnessed, right? So let's imagine you see a van parked up like this, okay? This is what was on the side of the van, and I'm just going to take you through it one step at a time, so eventually you'll see the whole thing in its entirety. But
Okay.
So first, it was Joe Blogg's Property Services. I don't remember what the exact company name was, and I won't mention it because I might embarrass him. Okay, next stage, picture of a 3D house. So
Wow.
it's okay, that's not bad. I mean, that's pretty much what I saw. It was kind of like this 3D isometric clip art. Right, watch what happens next, right? That was what was on.
Wow.
That was what was on the side of the vehicle. And I thought, why the hell has he got a picture of a cursor trained on my house? And I thought, what, am I going to get bombed? And then I thought, this is what I thought. We will bomb your house. That should be, what is it? It's like a van full of 1980s bad guys from an action movie. Is that what it is? And then I thought, burglars are us, because that's what they could be. And then I just thought, we will rob you. I mean, like, when you see a logo like that, you might as well put "we will rob you" on the side of the van, because it looks I don't know, why would you have I know what he's trying to say, that we target homeowners because that's who our audience are, but he's taken the phrase target audience the wrong way. He's come down the wrong side of it. Do you know what I mean?
There's a more sophisticated way of getting that message across. And in this case, it sounds as though the business owner knows what he wants to say, but it's just a case of
it's just
bad design.
Misfired, no pun intended either there.
Absolutely, and it's easily done. And if a client was happy with that, then there's
Well, that's it. I mean, it's their money, so you can't really start. I mean, you can't argue with them, can you? But you've got to think. I mean, would you design something like that? No, absolutely not. If you're designing a decent logo for a property services company, you wouldn't want a military target trained on a picture of someone's house because
No.
it just doesn't look right. But I mean, that's all I wanted to show you. I mean, I could go on. I mean, I just don't want to feel like I'm making fun of this person. And like I say, I don't want to say who they are because they might not like it. They might find out and feel embarrassed. But that's it. I mean, that's bad logo design for you, and it happens every day. And I think it could lose a few sales for people because I don't know. It could be done better, is what I'm saying. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Okay, so here's an example of a logo that we worked on a few years ago. I did this myself years ago, but it was designed for a Derby Art Club open day, and I was asked to come up with something which would appeal to all ages because they wanted to sort of, invite artists of all different abilities and ages. And the woman was saying that they want children to be able to, come along and feel welcome. So I came up with this spirograph-inspired design. I actually went to the Early Learning Centre and bought spirograph and came up with this spirograph design and then took it into Adobe Illustrator and, did some technical stuff with it. And my rationale was that this kind of circular motif looked a little bit like an O, like the typographic O for open day, and to be open to various people of various abilities. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's that was that one. This one was client supplied. I didn't actually design this. This was a local photographer, and I quite like this because it's kind of like a signature.
Yeah, I love that. The signature at the top.
Yeah.
Not so sure about the typography selected underneath, but I guess you was client driven on that one.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
that's a Windows font. That's called Papyrus. That's
mm,
in every Windows 7 installation. So I guess people just go through the typeface and think, "Oh, that looks nice." It looks like an autograph because she's a really, really good photographer. It's like she's autographed it personally, and
it's putting a mark on it, isn't it? And
she's very personal with the clients. So she's very friendly with people. Like they know who she is. They know each other very well. So
mhm.
yeah, it's like a personal mark. Yeah, and there it is in the context of the website. And because that papyrus font was used, I had to sort of work backwards and kind of build the navigation bar around the typeface that was supplied. So yeah, it looks quite nice in context.
Yeah.
This is somebody who they're based in South Notts, obviously. They mow people's lawns. They take care of the grounds of estates. They're contracted by the council to do work. So the thinking here is that you've got the image of the roof, which suggests the house in the background, perhaps, and then in the foreground you've got the green tree and the grass, the ground care. Oh, yeah, there it is in context again. And this guy is a canvas artist from Nottingham, and he takes people's personal photographs and actually prints them to canvas. And he actually blows up people's images and puts them onto canvas. So you've got this gallery wrap canvas. So in this case, it's like an anonymous silhouette of a family, almost saying your picture here, almost like a cutout. Yeah.
It's a nice visual. Nice visual that.
Yeah, it's nice. Well, and that's the kind of thing that his main customer are kind of like families as well. So anybody really. I mean, he does weddings, anniversaries, funerals, but it's your life on canvas. Yeah. So let's have a look at some of the stuff you've been working on, Lee, because
Sure.
you've got some pretty good work. So tell us about Craig Lamont. Who is he and where's he from?
Craig Lamont, photographer, and is based in Ilkeston. The challenge with this logo was Craig's multidisciplined in not just the photos he takes, but the subjects, everything about his work really. It's so diverse, and the challenge really was to come up with a logo that was that could be adapted the range of photos he took. So he photographs football matches, he goes to rock concerts, he captures butterflies and wildlife,
Yeah.
and we just needed to come up with something quite stylish,
Yeah.
clean.
That is nice. Obviously, it's a camera lens, but it could be an eye as well, looking back at you.
It could,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
bit of colour in the middle there, that little red circle was obviously with discussion with Craig. The particular camera that he uses, the name escapes me, has got like a red shutter light on it,
Is
and
it
he
is
wanted
it
to include that
is it a digital camera or is it?
somewhere in the logo. Um, I'm not sure what kind of camera it is, to be honest.
So I just think it might be one of those old, like those 35mm classic cameras. To be honest, I don't know much about cameras myself. I'm just curious, just wondering.
No, but
Yeah, yeah, it's
I'll have
nice.
to ask Craig next time.
Yeah, yeah,
But he was certainly happy with the logo anyway, and
yeah. And you mocked it up as well, so you had business cards, and
yeah, a
there's a
couple of
few.
ideas for his business
Yeah,
cards,
so
and
these are a few ideas.
yeah, just taking that red circle as well, and just applying that in like a
Oh
decorative
yeah, yeah,
fashion. It's
yeah,
it's the strength on this particular piece.
yeah. It adds a dash of colour. So Daredevil SEO, there for anybody who doesn't know what SEO is, that means search engine optimization. And I guess the thing is that now being a web designer, I can tell you about a bit about SEO. It's a slippery slope, you see. People, the way you rank a website, it can be very easy to do it badly. So I guess Daredevil SEO means that he kind of walks a very fine line, because I know this guy's a serious professional. He knows what he's doing, and you've come up with something which kind of reflects that, haven't you?
I have, yeah, and it's almost like a target, like a really red hot spot here,
Yeah.
and just the idea of using the Daredevil character and his tail just
Mouse
going in
cursor.
that upward direction. For a mouse cursor, yeah, but it
Yeah.
also can be interpreted as kind of the SEO results, if you like, and the number of hits a website could get.
It could be a call to action as well, because arrows are quite good in the world of the web. But lots of pointy arrows tell people what to do and where to click. So yeah, an arrow is always good, because you could
And it shows the forward direction of the company as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And IFCSG, you're quite heavily involved with this group, aren't you? Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, this was a nice one to work on. Ilkeston FC is actually a new club. It was formed in 2010, I believe.
Yeah.
But basically, yeah, the old club Ilkeston Town FC folded. And what I did was I'd taken the old logo that Ilkeston Town had with the robin on the ball as a focus. The robin of the crest faced in the opposite direction on the old club badge. So what we've done, looking forward, setting up this group, we actually flipped the robin, so it's forward facing. We kept the robin on a ball because there's a lot of history behind that. And we encompassed it in a little speech bubble as well, because the supporters group is all about giving the supporters a voice and making sure that everyone
How's
can get
their
their,
say? Yeah.
as they're saying,
Yes.
gets
Yeah.
their opinions across.
Dialogue. Yeah.
And that top one just shows the original logo we used, and obviously over the years we've been able to develop that. We've got the little banner in there that just tells everyone when we were formed as a supporters group in 2011.
That banner, it looks like a scarf. Like you can imagine a football fan on a terrace with a scarf.
That could be the next
The evolution.
generation of the
Yeah.
logo, if you like.
It
Yeah.
could do. It could
Thanks
do
for that,
something.
Darren.
So tell us why is it in blue? You got it in red and blue. Is that to do with the colours of the kit or something?
Yeah, sure. Ilkeston playing red.
Yeah.
That's their traditional home strip, and this season we've been playing in orange, so we've had an orange version of this logo as well.
Yeah.
But looking forward to next year, we've just quickly mocked up a blue version because the away kit's changed. So it just ties in with the old campaign going from season to season, really. And I don't think the logo will change too much because we've got quite a strong identity now amongst our fan base, and you know we're quite recognisable with our logo.
Yeah, looks good. Yeah, thanks for that.
Thank you.
Tell us about Vicky Heavens and who is she? Is she a local
Vicky
business?
Evans, another local trades woman, um, mobile hairdresser.
Yeah,
And this was a quite a good one to get involved in because Vicky kind of left me to it really. She just wanted some kind of identity. She gave me a blank canvas and it just gave me the opportunity really just to get the pen and paper out and do some sketches, come up with some ideas. And it didn't instantly come to me, this idea of using the scissors
yeah,
for the V, because
yeah,
um, I just pictured to start with some really elegant typefaces, just using the V or perhaps the V and the H,
yeah,
just to keep it quite short and quite professional looking. But
yeah,
in the early stages, Vicky was keen to get her personality across. So
yeah.
going back to the drawing board, we bought these scissors in, um, made a V,
Mm.
and I guess the swoosh really just kind of lends itself to the the free flowing Vicky, if you like. She's quite an easygoing,
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine.
friendly lady, and
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, she loved it.
good. So, how long do you actually spend on a logo concept?
How long do I spend? Ooh, it's a difficult question. I mean, obviously it depends on the client and how much information they've got for me, um, and how much of a brief they've put together. But you know, generally you could spend anything between a couple of days, couple of weeks. It could span over a month.
Yeah, wow.
Whether I have to do a bit of research behind the company
Yeah. Oh, I should
and the
imagine
industry they sit in as well. You know,
that's it. Yeah, you've got to familiarise yourself with their business, haven't
it's
you?
important, yeah,
And
and to make sure they stand out from the competition as well. As I touched upon before,
yeah,
it's easy to see what's out there at the moment and kind of go with the flow and say I'd like something similar to Joe Blogs,
yeah.
but
But you didn't want to do that though, do you? I mean, why would you?
absolutely not.
Why
The
would you want
secret
to?
is,
Yeah.
yeah, to get across the message and the brand values of that business. And the research really does help. It's how
Mm.
much the client gives you, and you also have to bear in mind as well, the client changing their mind. Once you do get some initial logo concepts out there,
Yeah.
you could be spending a day or two finalizing some options for them.
Yeah.
And what you do could change the client's mind. It could put them in a different direction, and they
Mm.
might have a clearer picture of what they want to say. So it takes as long as it takes, I think.
Yeah. 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 I
Um,
would have thought that's the case. Yeah.
and when something clicks, I think as a designer, you know when you've got a good idea. I
Yeah,
think,
get
and
that aha moment, and you think, "Oh, great!"
absolutely.
What do you spend the most time on? Is it the thought process and the analysis? Because you've got to justify everything, haven't you? In the end, so
Absolutely, yeah. I think it is a thought process, the idea, that initial concept, and you can spend so much time doodling, drafting, but essentially you have to get your ideas down on paper. Then you have to sift out the good ideas from the bad ones, and that's when you take it to the computer and
mm,
you know finalize that and make it crisp,
mm,
um, and make sure it works on a variety of media, in different colorways
mm,
across different devices.
mm,
Um, but as long as that idea and that strong concept is behind it,
mm.
um, that's the um, that's the most challenging.
So let's imagine you've laboured over this, this concept, and then you've created a logo. How do you feel if the client selects a weaker idea? Like, say, like you present a range of ideas, and you know which one's the best, but you present a range anyway, and they
It's
pick a weaker idea. Supposing you've dismissed that idea in your own mind, but they pick it. I mean, how does that work?
it's funny you should mention that actually, Darren, because I mean there's a lesson to be learnt from previous experience. Because for me personally, I like to design quite a few options. I like to give the client a few different ideas,
Yeah,
um, for them to choose, because at the end of the day it's their logo. You can't be too precious about your own work.
Yeah.
Um, and there were some ideas I did for a client in the past that I didn't necessarily totally believe in, but it was what they wanted.
Yeah.
And I made the mistake of presenting those ideas I didn't have too much faith in with ones that I did. And obviously the client chose the logo that I was least favouring.
Yeah.
So I think I certainly need to be a bit more selective in my approach, and also push the stronger ideas that I believe in, because I think a lot of faith is put into a designer
Yeah.
by its
Yeah.
client, and
Yeah.
as much as you'd like to please your client, you have also got to make sure that that logo is something that both parties have faith in and
Yeah.
really, really likes, because it's got to stand the test of time.
It's your reputation as well.
Absolutely.
So you send a provisional proof, presumably you watermark it as well, because it's been known that people can steal an idea. I mean, has that ever happened to you? I mean, you do watermark it, I take it.
I do now anyway. I mean, there have been occasions where, especially when you're first starting up, and you get your first flow of work coming in, you're happy just to send the files out, just to show the client what you've done, what you've been working on.
Yeah.
But I have had a couple of situations where the client has actually used the logo but not actually paid for it. They've seen a concept, and they've gone straight out there and started using it. So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's protection for myself. To watermark, um, there's no reason otherwise why they can't take that logo elsewhere. And the
Yeah.
client, once they've paid for it, because that logo is going to be used on vehicle graphics, business cards, letterheads. It's going to be used on a variety of media, and one that a graphic designer won't necessarily have too much involvement in once the logo has been created. So it is important to watermark that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, you know,
But until they pay for it, the copyright is yours. It's
Absolutely, and even after payment's been made for the logo, that's just for the logo design. So
yeah.
the copyright does still fall with the designer until the rights have been bought.
How do you sell the rights? Is that supplying all the original artwork? Say like the native, say Adobe Illustrator, you supply that native file. Once that's been released, then the copyright lies with the client. Is that right?
From my point of view as a designer, once those vector files go out to a client, that's kind of me saying, this is now your logo. You've got
Yeah.
all the files you need.
You've got everything.
You take that where you want,
Yeah.
and you know. But otherwise, if a JPEG's going out and it's watermarked, I still very much have the rights on that.
So if a client becomes an Ilkeston Web Design client, they actually receive a branded stick in the mail, don't they? So what we do is we watermark everything, and we give them everything that they would need if they've asked for it. That is, we load it all onto the USB stick. We protect it inside a jiffy bag, and we send it out, don't we? So that means that they've actually got something real. Then we're not just sending all these files by email, which, as you can imagine, you've got quite a few megs of data there to download. So I'm just thinking, when you do come up with all these concepts, there's an awful lot of work to send out, isn't there? So
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
yeah, so it is best to send it, by any means other than electronic, if it can be avoided. But there is Dropbox, isn't there? I mean, do you ever work with Dropbox or?
Dropbox, yeah, it's a great tool, especially for not just sending files, but clients might send me some bits. They might have seen a bit of inspiration on the internet, some images they might want me to take inspiration from, and it's a great way of sending files and receiving.
Yeah, yeah. Do you ever send stuff out on CD, or do you prefer not to do that?
I think unless a client requests a CD, I generally send an email.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of the Ilkeston Web Design USB sticks.
Yeah, well, it's theirs to keep then. So
Absolutely.
they get to keep that, and they can send stuff back and forth, and nice bit of marketing for Ilkeston Web Design as well.
And it's something that they've got. Then it's something tangible that
It's useful to them. That's what it
Absolutely.
is. Yeah. Anyway, well, thanks, Lee. I mean, it's great that you've come on today. You've really enlightened me, anyway, and I'm sure anybody listening / watching would have really got something out of this.
Yeah, no problem, Darren.
And it means we don't have to spend hours on the phone with the client. We realise that the clients are busy, and to try and explain something like this over the phone, it's not really going to happen, is it? So they can watch this video in their own time. So thanks again, Lee. Hope to have you on again soon. We've got some
Anytime.
we'll be talking about print design and web design next time, the differences between those. So subscribe by going to ilkestonwebdesign.com/sign up, and the link to that sign up form is in the description below. Thanks again, Lee, and thanks everybody who watched. I'll talk to you again next time. Bye for now.